There are moments in life when people feel surrounded by unseen heaviness. Sometimes it comes through harsh words, hidden jealousy, betrayal, anger, or the silent weight of negative intentions from others. It can feel as if dark energy has entered the mind like a shadow entering a peaceful room. Many people spend their lives trying to fight that darkness with more darkness. They answer hatred with hatred, fear with fear, and pain with pain. Yet this only keeps the cycle alive. What is thrown outward returns inward. This is the quiet law of the boomerang effect. Every thought released into the world carries a direction. Every emotion has a movement. Every action creates a circle that eventually returns to its source. Negative energy does not disappear after it leaves a person. It travels. It waits, and in time it comes back. A cruel word may seem powerful for a moment, but its echo remains with the one who spoke it. Harmful intentions may seem hidden, but the heart that creates them must live with their poison first. Darkness cannot be given without first being held. This is why those who send suffering into the world often live with restless minds. To understand this deeply is to stop fearing the darkness of others. If someone sends anger, that anger belongs first to them. If someone sends envy, that envy burns first within their own heart. If someone wishes harm, they become the first home of that harm. This understanding changes everything. Instead of absorbing darkness, a wise person learns to remain untouched by it. The storm may rage outside, but it does not have to enter the inner house. The mind is like clear water. When disturbed, it becomes cloudy. When left in stillness, the mud settles and clarity returns. Dark energy can only enter when the mind is open to receiving it through fear, resentment, or attachment. The moment a person reacts with the same negativity, they unknowingly invite that darkness to stay. But when the mind remains calm, the energy finds no place to land. It returns to where it came from. Imagine someone throwing fire into a lake. The flame touches the water for a moment, then disappears. The lake does not become fire, it remains water. In the same way, when negativity meets a peaceful mind, it loses its power. The peaceful mind does not need revenge. It does not need retaliation. It simply refuses to become what it has received. One of the deepest forms of protection is compassion. This may seem strange because compassion is often mistaken for weakness, but true compassion is strength. To look at a harmful person and understand that they are trapped in their own suffering is a powerful transformation. Those who spread darkness are often consumed by darkness within themselves. Their pain spills onto others because they do not know how to heal it. Seeing this does not excuse their actions, but it prevents the heart from becoming poisoned in return. Compassion acts like a mirror. It reflects energy without absorbing it. Hatred expects hatred. Anger expects anger, but when met with calm understanding, the cycle is interrupted. The boomerang returns without finding a new target. This does not mean allowing others to harm endlessly. Wisdom still creates boundaries. Peace does not mean surrendering to abuse. It means protecting the inner world while refusing to become a source of more suffering. Silence is another form of protection. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every insult deserves attention. Sometimes the strongest action is no action. Many people throw darkness because they seek reaction. They want to disturb the peace of another because they have lost their own. Refusing to participate weakens the chain. Silence can become a shield that turns harmful energy back toward its source without a single word. The practice of mindfulness also transforms negative energy. When pain arrives, instead of immediately resisting it, one can observe it. Notice the feeling. Notice the tension. Notice the fear. By simply watching it, the energy begins to lose its control. Awareness creates distance. The emotion may knock at the door, but awareness decides whether it enters. A conscious mind is not easily controlled by outside forces. Forgiveness is perhaps the most misunderstood tool of all. Many think forgiveness is for the other person. In truth, forgiveness frees the one who carries the wound. Holding anger is like drinking poison while hoping someone else will suffer. The longer resentment stays, the deeper darkness settles. Forgiveness does not say the harm was acceptable. It simply says the soul refuses to carry it any longer. When darkness is met with awareness, compassion, silence, and forgiveness, something extraordinary happens. The negative energy loses momentum. It cannot root itself. It cannot grow. It returns to its origin, carrying the lesson back to the one who created it. This is the boomerang effect of spiritual law. Energy always seeks its home. A peaceful heart becomes untouchable not because darkness no longer exists, but because darkness can no longer enter. The world may remain noisy, but the inner world becomes still. And in that stillness, even the heaviest shadows begin to dissolve in the presence of light. Negative energy returns to its source. Harmful thoughts, jealousy, anger, and cruelty do not disappear. They eventually return to the person who created them. Negative energy never truly disappears after it is created. Every thought, every word, and every action carries a certain force that moves beyond the person who releases it. Many people believe that anger can be thrown away, that cruelty can be sent outward, or that harmful intentions can simply vanish into the world. But life does not work in that way. Energy follows a deeper law. Whatever is sent into the world begins a journey that eventually circles back to the one who created it. This is why negative energy often becomes a burden first for the person who gives it. Before hatred can wound another heart, it must first live inside the heart that produced it. Before jealousy can poison another life, it must first poison the one who carries it. The mind that creates darkness becomes the first place where that darkness stays. A person who constantly speaks with bitterness may believe they are hurting others, but their own inner world slowly becomes restless and heavy. Harsh words may leave the mouth quickly, but their effect remains in the consciousness of the speaker. Every moment of anger leaves a mark. Every act of cruelty shapes the mind that performs it. In this way, suffering often begins not in the person receiving harm, but in the person sending it. The one who carries negative energy cannot escape its presence because it lives within them before it ever reaches anyone else. This can be understood by imagining someone holding a burning coal in their hand with the intention of throwing it at another person. Long before the coal leaves their hand, the heat already causes pain. The wound begins before the action is completed. Negative thoughts work in the same way. A person may wish to harm someone with envy, resentment, or hatred, but those emotions already burn inside their own heart. The pain is immediate, even if they do not recognize it. Over time, these repeated emotions shape their character, disturb their sleep, cloud their judgment, and steal their peace. What they send outward becomes part of what they live with inwardly. Many people fear the negative intentions of others because they believe dark energy can freely move from one person to another. But understanding this law changes that fear. When someone sends harmful energy, they are already carrying its weight. Their darkness belongs to them before it ever touches anyone else. This does not mean others cannot feel its effect, but it reveals that every harmful force remains connected to its source. Life has a natural balance that cannot be easily broken. What is created must eventually return. This is why wisdom teaches that there is no need to answer darkness with darkness. The one who sends harm is already experiencing the consequences of what they create. Their own mind becomes their first punishment. Their own heart becomes the first place where suffering grows. When people understand that negative energy always returns to its source, they begin to stop living in fear. Instead of reacting with anger, they remain calm. Instead of seeking revenge, they trust the deeper order of life. The world itself reflects energy back to those who release it, and in that quiet truth, peace becomes stronger than fear. Inner peace blocks dark energy. A calm and mindful mind does not absorb negativity, just as a lake remains unchanged when fire is thrown into it. Inner peace is one of the strongest forms of protection a person can cultivate in life. Many people believe protection comes from strength, control, or the ability to fight against those who bring negativity. They think that when dark energy approaches through harsh words, envy, hostility, or harmful intentions, the only way to defend themselves is by pushing back with equal force. Yet this often creates more suffering. Darkness grows when it is fed by reaction. Negative energy survives when it finds a place to settle, but a peaceful mind gives it nowhere to remain. The human mind can be compared to a still lake. When the surface is calm, it reflects everything clearly. The sky, the trees, the moon, and even the smallest movement can be seen without distortion. But when the water is constantly disturbed, nothing can be seen clearly. The same is true within. A restless mind reacts quickly. It absorbs fear, anger, and pain from the outside world. It takes in the emotions of others and turns them into personal suffering. But a peaceful mind remains clear. It sees negativity without becoming negativity. It notices darkness without allowing darkness to enter. When someone sends anger toward another person, that anger seeks a reaction. It wants to create more anger. It wants to awaken pain. It wants to disturb the silence inside another heart. If the other person reacts immediately with the same energy, the cycle continues. One person's darkness becomes two people's suffering. But when the mind remains calm, the chain is broken. The negative energy reaches the surface of awareness but cannot move deeper. It loses its power because it cannot attach itself to peace. Imagine someone throwing dust into the wind while standing in front of it. Much of that dust returns to their own face because the air does not hold it for long. In the same way, when negativity is directed toward a peaceful person, it often returns because the mind does not cling to it. Inner peace acts like open space. Harmful energy may pass through it, but it cannot settle there. It finds no roots. It finds no invitation. It simply moves away. This kind of peace does not happen by accident. It grows through practice, develops when a person learns to pause before reacting. It grows when thoughts are observed instead of immediately believed. It strengthens when silence becomes more valuable than argument. Every moment of mindfulness builds a stronger inner foundation. Every act of patience deepens that stillness. Over time, the mind becomes less vulnerable to outside disturbance. A peaceful person is not someone who never faces darkness. It is someone who no longer allows darkness to control the inner world. Pain may still appear. Hurt may still be felt. But those feelings no longer take over the whole mind. They come and go like clouds moving through the sky. The sky itself remains untouched. Inner peace does not remove all difficulty from life, but it changes the way life is experienced. It turns the heart into a place where negativity cannot easily enter. It becomes a quiet shield that no one can see but everyone can feel. And in that stillness, a person discovers that true protection has never come from fighting the world, but from mastering the self within. Compassion transforms hostility. Seeing that those who spread darkness are suffering inside helps prevent their pain from becoming your pain. Compassion has the power to transform hostility in a way that force never can. When people experience negativity from others, their first instinct is often to protect themselves by becoming hard. They may answer anger with anger, judgment with judgment, or cruelty with cruelty. This feels natural because pain often demands a response. Yet reacting this way usually creates a deeper wound. Instead of ending suffering, it spreads it. One person's darkness enters another person's heart and begins living there. Compassion interrupts this cycle by seeing beyond the surface of harmful behavior. A person who spreads darkness is often carrying darkness within. Someone who speaks with bitterness usually has pain they have never understood. Someone who acts with jealousy often feels empty inside. Someone who causes harm may be trapped in suffering they do not know how to heal. Their actions may be wrong, but their actions are also revealing something hidden. They are showing the condition of their inner world. A peaceful person learns to see this. Instead of only seeing the wound they receive, they begin to see the wound inside the other person. This does not mean harmful action should be accepted or ignored. Compassion does not ask a person to become weak or to allow mistreatment. It asks for a deeper understanding. It asks a person to recognize that pain often creates pain. Those who are at war within themselves often create war around them. When this truth is understood, hostility begins to lose its grip. The heart no longer sees only an enemy. It sees a human being trapped in suffering. Imagine a person carrying a heavy bucket of muddy water. As they walk, the water spills onto everyone around them. Some people become angry because their clothes are stained. Others may want to throw mud back. But the wise person notices something deeper. They see that the one carrying the bucket is already burdened by it. Their suffering is spilling outward because they cannot carry it alone. This does not excuse the mess they create, but it changes the way one responds to them. Compassion protects the heart because it prevents another person's darkness from becoming your own. Hatred invites more hatred. Anger invites more anger. But compassion creates space. It allows a person to remain steady while understanding that the harm being given is often a reflection of inner pain. Instead of absorbing the darkness, the heart remains open but guarded by wisdom. The mind can say, "I see your suffering, but I do not need to become part of it." This kind of compassion is not always easy. It requires strength because the ego prefers revenge. The wounded heart often wants justice through pain. But compassion understands that adding more pain never creates healing. It only extends the chain of suffering. When one person refuses to continue that chain, something powerful happens. The cycle begins to weaken. Sometimes compassion may appear as gentle words. Sometimes it may appear as silence. Sometimes it may appear as walking away without hatred. It can take many forms, but its purpose remains the same. It transforms the energy of a moment by refusing to feed darkness with more darkness. In a world where hostility often multiplies quickly, compassion becomes a quiet form of strength. It changes not only the way a person sees others, but the way they protect their own inner peace. Through compassion, the heart remains light even when surrounded by heavy energy, and what could have become suffering becomes understanding instead. Silence can be powerful protection. Not reacting to negativity often weakens its power and stops the cycle from continuing. Silence can become one of the most powerful forms of protection in a world filled with noise, conflict, and emotional reaction. Many people believe strength is shown by always responding, always defending, and always proving themselves when challenged. When someone sends negativity through criticism, insults, or harmful words, the natural impulse is often to answer immediately. The mind wants to explain, to argue, or to strike back. It feels as though silence means weakness, as though remaining quiet means losing. Yet true silence is not surrender. It is a conscious choice to protect inner peace from unnecessary disturbance. Negative energy often depends on reaction to survive. Anger seeks anger. Conflict seeks participation. Hostility looks for a place to land. When someone speaks from darkness, they are often trying to pull another person into the same emotional state. If the other person reacts, the connection is formed. The suffering is shared. What began in one mind spreads into another. But when silence is chosen with awareness, the chain is interrupted. The energy finds no response to feed upon. It begins to lose its force because it cannot grow in stillness. Imagine someone shouting into a deep, empty valley. They expect another voice to answer back, but instead they hear only the sound of their own words returning to them. This is what silence can do. It allows a person to hear the echo of their own energy. Many people never recognize the weight of their own negativity because others immediately reflect it back. But silence creates a mirror. It reveals rather than reacts. It lets harmful words return to the one who spoke them without adding more pain to the moment. Silence also creates space within the mind. In moments of emotional attack, reactions often happen too quickly. A person may say things they later regret or absorb pain they never needed to carry. Silence slows that process, gives the heart room to remain steady. It allows awareness to rise before emotion takes control. In that quiet pause, wisdom has a chance to appear. A person can choose whether the moment deserves energy or whether it should simply pass. This does not mean silence is always passive. Sometimes silence speaks more clearly than words ever could. It can show dignity in the face of disrespect. It can show self-control in the presence of chaos. It can show that not every invitation to conflict deserves acceptance. Some people become uncomfortable when they cannot provoke a reaction because they realize their power depends on disturbing others. Silence quietly removes that power. There are moments when words are necessary, especially when boundaries must be set. But even then, words spoken from silence carry a different quality. They are not driven by anger. They are not poisoned by revenge. They come from clarity rather than emotional confusion. A silent mind can speak firmly without creating more suffering. Many of life's conflicts continue because too many people feel the need to answer everything. They defend every insult, challenge every opinion, and carry every careless word deep into the heart. But not every voice deserves a response. Not every shadow deserves attention. Sometimes the greatest protection is simply refusing to open the door. Silence is not emptiness, it is presence without struggle. It is strength without aggression, it is peace that remains untouched by the storms of others. And in that stillness, a person begins to understand that some battles are not won by speaking louder, but by no longer needing to speak at all. Forgiveness frees the heart. Letting go of resentment removes inner suffering and prevents dark energy from taking root within. Forgiveness is one of the deepest ways to free the heart from suffering. Many people misunderstand forgiveness because they believe it is something done for the person who caused pain. They think forgiving means excusing harm, forgetting betrayal, or pretending that wounds never happened. Because of this, they hold tightly to resentment, believing that anger protects them. Yet in many cases, the pain remains alive not because of what happened, but because it continues to live inside the mind. Forgiveness is not about freeing the one who caused the wound. It is about freeing the one who continues to carry it. When a person holds on to resentment, the past continues to live in the present. A painful memory may be over, but the heart keeps reliving it. The body becomes tense. The mind becomes restless. The same wound opens again and again through thought alone. What another person did once may begin harming the soul many times because it is being repeated internally. In this way, the suffering continues long after the event has passed. The pain is no longer coming from the outside. It is being recreated from within. Resentment can feel like strength because it gives the illusion of control. Some people believe that by staying angry, they are refusing to let the other person escape responsibility. They feel that letting go means losing something. But anger often becomes a silent prison. The person who caused harm may have already moved on, while the wounded person continues carrying the weight every day. The heart becomes attached to pain as though pain itself has become part of identity. Forgiveness breaks that attachment. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your hands for many years because someone once placed it there. At first, it feels impossible to let go because the weight has become familiar. But the longer it is carried, the more it shapes the body. The arms become tired. The shoulders begin to ache. Life becomes harder not because of the stone itself, but because of the refusal to put it down. Forgiveness is the moment a person realizes they no longer need to carry what was never meant to stay. This does not mean trust must be restored. Some wounds require distance. Some relationships should not continue. Forgiveness does not remove wisdom. It does not ask someone to return to harmful situations. It simply means refusing to let the pain continue to control the inner world. A person can remember what happened and still choose peace over bitterness. Forgiveness changes the energy inside the heart. Resentment feeds darkness. It keeps old pain alive and allows it to spread into new moments. But when forgiveness begins, the inner space starts to soften. The mind becomes lighter. The emotional burden slowly fades. What once felt like a permanent wound begins to lose its power. The past remains part of life, but it no longer defines the present. Sometimes forgiveness is not immediate. It may happen slowly in layers through patience and understanding. Some wounds take time to release, but each step toward letting go creates more freedom. Each moment of release weakens the hold of suffering. In the end, forgiveness is not weakness. It is one of the greatest forms of inner strength. It is the decision to stop carrying pain that no longer belongs in the heart. It is the quiet choice to reclaim peace. And through that choice, the soul becomes lighter than the burden it once believed it had to keep forever.